lecture 9, we will be talking about how data is stored in a MongoDB. The MongoDB runs a background process, as I mentioned out here. Let me choose a fairly large size, okay, which is a background process. And whenever I say use my DB or some other name, there is a folder that gets created, and the location of the folder is specified in the configuration. Right now, let's just assume this is not true. Just assume that the folder is stored in /db/databases. This is a configuration parameter. So a folder is created as /db/dbs/mydb. Okay. If I just say use, that's not going to create the folder. The folder does not get created. But when I insert a collection, okay, when I insert a collection, which is when I create a collection, that is when this folder is created. Now inside this folder, there are going to be 2 files created per collection. One is something known as collection.wt, and another is index.wt. Okay. Now, unlike what people think, most people think that if there is a very large collection, there is going to be multiple files. That's not the case. The way the files are handled internally is by way of pages, but per collection there is only going to be one file. So this file gets created here, okay, in /db/dbs/mydb. there is going to be a collection .wt, and this file is a B tree. The file is a B tree, and the B tree, which means that it's going to be and in the leaves of this B tree, in the very last leaves of this B tree, we have a Bison object. The Bison object is the document. So every node has a unique ID, and that unique ID is created by MongoDB. That is called as the record ID. Okay, and it uses this record ID for navigation. It points out to the leaf node, and in the leaf node we store a particular document. So we will have in the leaf node something like this. Logically, we will have the record ID, and then we will have the actual details. So whenever I say I add a document, like let's say insert 1, okay, what it does is it navigates down the path at the leaf node. It adds this Bison object, creates a record ID, okay, updates the records both in this index file as well as in the collections file. Okay. Now you may be thinking as to what is this index file all about. Let's not worry too much about this. This is used only when we are looking at object ID operations. But remember, there is going to be always one index created per database. Okay. Now let's look at what happens when we do a find operation. Okay. Let's say I do a find operation. I do a find operation. the moment I do a find operation on the collection called books, it goes to the collection file. But before it goes to the collection file, it's going to go into the memory, because there is this, in the memory there are cached documents, okay, and it will try to find out if this find condition is satisfied by the cache document. If it does not find the document, then what it will do is it will start reading this collection document, the collection file, and the collection file, as I already told you earlier, is a B tree. So it's going to, because this particular file, we are making an assumption that we have not indexed it by the name. It's going to do a complete document read. So it will go through each node till it finds out the leaf node, and in the leaf node it will find out if there is a matching condition, and if it finds a matching condition, it loads it, okay. But there's a little bit of, it loads it and then searches for, maybe there are many people with the name Alice. It loads all the documents which are there in the Alice, but when it's loading, it's going to do a little bit of reading ahead and reading behind. It loads the data into the memory in the form of pages. So what happens is, let's say there are, when I read this particular leaf node, it's also going to read some adjacent nodes, and usually a page is about 4K. It loads all the documents related to that 4K into the memory. It again, if it finds another Alice out here, it loads adjacent documents also into the memory, and then in the memory it filters out the condition, filters out the data that are the documents that have this particular condition, and then we can take the appropriate action. This is just to give you a little. Now how does it happen? How do we have the file spread across multiple disks? How do we do sharding, etc.? Those I will talk to you when we get a little bit more in detail, but for now I think this is good enough for you to understand.